Have you ever looked at a woman, who lives completely alone, no boyfriend, no dates, no searching for love, and instantly thought, she must be broken? What if I told you, she's not broken, she's not lonely, she's dangerously powerful, because the woman who chooses herself, over validation, over romance, over society's expectations, is not giving up on love. She's mastering it. She's not hiding from the world, she's walking through it, without asking for permission. And that kind of woman, she doesn't crave attention. She radiates presence, not because she needs someone, but because she became the someone she needed. So before you judge her silence, as before you question her strength, before you assume her story, let me show you the kind of woman Carl Jung called whole. This is not just independence. This is spiritual warfare disguised as solitude. Watch till the end, because what you're about to learn will change the way you see her forever. Chapter 1. She's not lonely. She's awakened. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But what he didn't say is that becoming who you truly are means losing everything that once defined you. See, she didn't choose loneliness. She chose truth. And the truth is, she got tired of explaining herself, tired of waiting to be understood, tired of shrinking to fit in rooms that never saw her as whole. So one day, she walked away, not from love but from the illusions of it, the almosts, the maybes, the you're too much and just wait your turn. She chose a higher path, the one that doesn't come with applause or companionship, but with clarity. When you see her sitting alone at a cafe, don't assume sadness, assume strength, because the world conditioned her to chase validation, but she rewired herself to seek only alignment. That silence around her, that isn't absence, it's presence, it's wholeness. It's the sound of a woman finally hearing her own voice. Without the background noise of other people's expectations, she's not hiding, she's healing. She's not isolated, she's in initiation. She is no longer waiting for someone to choose her. She has already chosen herself, every single day. Her solitude is not a punishment, it is her power. Her stillness is not an accident, it is sacred. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the moment the false self dies, and the real self awakens. And what you're witnessing isn't loneliness. It's a woman becoming undeniably whole. Chapter 2. Why her independence threatens society. From the moment she was born, the world whispered, "Be nice. Don't speak too loud. Don't take up too much space." So she folded her voice into silence. She wore politeness like armor. She made herself small so others could feel big. But deep down, she knew that wasn't her nature. That was her conditioning. Because when a woman begins to expand, society begins to tremble. Her light doesn't just shine, it exposes. And what it exposes is a system built to keep her quiet. She used to say sorry for everything. Sorry for wanting more. Sorry for saying no. Sorry for being too intense, too emotional, too independent. But now, she doesn't apologize for breathing. She doesn't dim her intelligence to protect someone's ego. She doesn't water herself down to become more likable, because shrinking didn't make her more lovable. It just made her invisible. And invisibility is the slowest kind of death. So she rose, unapologetically. Approval is a drug, and she used to be addicted. Addicted to being liked, to being chosen, to being the one who never disappointed. But approval is expensive when it costs your authenticity. And one day, she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl smiling back. That day she said, "No more becoming what they want. It's time to become who I am." Since then, she's been free, even if it made others uncomfortable. There's something unsettling about a woman who isn't desperate. She doesn't flatter to be accepted. She doesn't explain to be understood. She doesn't need you to like her. She needs to be true to herself. People don't fear her because she's rude. They fear her because she's real. And realness is rare. She makes people question their masks, and the world would rather silence truth than face it. But she's done playing small, just to make others feel tall. There were days she stayed silent just to keep the peace. Now she realizes silence was violence against herself. So now she speaks, even when it trembles, even when her voice cracks, even when the room grows cold, because she no longer serves comfort. She serves truth, and truth, by its very nature, disturbs. She doesn't scream to be heard. She speaks to be free, and freedom is louder than noise. They called her too emotional, too ambitious, too deep. But really she was just too awake for their comfort. She doesn't shrink anymore, because the world can't digest her intensity. She embraces it. She lets her fire burn, because she wasn't made to be palatable. She was made to be powerful, and if her presence feels like pressure, maybe it's not her. Maybe it's their guilt that's trembling. She doesn't want to be everyone's cup of tea anymore. She wants to be the truth in a world addicted to lies. She wants to be fire in a world that rewards cold compliance. She wants to be fully her, raw, bold, unfiltered. And if that's too much, then maybe the world has been asking women to be less for too long. She no longer fits inside the boxes built to keep her small. She isn't shrinking. She's ascending. Chapter 3. She refuses to shrink. She's not interested in love that comes with conditions. She doesn't crave the kind that demands she become less to be loved more. She won't soften her fire to make others feel comfortable in their coldness, because she's been there, in relationships that asked her to stay silent, to play dumb, to laugh a little less loudly. Never again. Now, she wants love that expands her, not erases her. Love that holds space for her power, not one that's intimidated by it. If it's not whole, it's not enough. She's loved before as deeply. She's given too much, lost herself trying to save others. And every time she handed someone a match, they burned her house down. Now, she doesn't hand out matches. She builds walls out of wisdom. She's not bitter. She's forged. Pain didn't break her, it built her. And whoever stands beside her now, better bring water, not gasoline, because this time she protects her flame. When she walks away, people think it's pride. It's not, it's peace. She's not running from love, she's running from anything that demands she bleed just to belong. She doesn't chase closure anymore, she creates it. She doesn't explain her standards, she lives by them. And if someone mistakes her silence for weakness, they clearly never heard the roar beneath it. She doesn't want someone untouched by life. She wants a man who's been broken and rebuilt himself without bitterness. A man who's lost and found himself without losing others. Someone who understands silence, who doesn't panic when things get deep, who knows how to stay when the healing gets messy. She doesn't need perfect, and she needs real. Not someone who performs love, but someone who embodies it. She's not flattered by attention anymore. She's not impressed by pretty words. She doesn't melt at good morning texts from men who wouldn't survive a real conversation, because love isn't presence, it's depth. And anyone can show up, but few can stay through her storms. She's not asking to be worshipped, she's asking to be understood. And if that's too much, then maybe they were never enough. She's not the woman who'll wait forever in the background. She's the kind you meet after you've met yourself. She's not soft in the way that folds. She's soft in the way steel bends under pressure. Her love isn't made for boys who fear fire. It's meant for men who've walked through their own. She doesn't shrink for comfort anymore. She expands for truth. Because she didn't come this far to play small. She came to rewrite the script. And if she walks away from you, it's not rejection, it's a rescue and from becoming small again. Chapter 4. The Psychology of Her Power. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." She doesn't try to provoke anyone, but her mere existence, it triggers people. Not because she's wrong, but because she reflects what others are avoiding. Her independence exposes dependency. Her peace exposes chaos. Her power, it makes those without it question everything they built their identity on. She doesn't need to raise her voice, and her presence is enough. She's a mirror people don't want to face. She walks into a room and the energy shifts, not because she demands attention, but because she radiates wholeness in a world full of half-healed souls. To the insecure man, she's too much. To the approval-seeking woman, she's intimidating. But the truth is, she's just a mirror, a clear, unapologetic reflection of strength. And when someone's not ready to see their shadow, they'll project it onto her light. She doesn't explain her standards, she embodies them. She doesn't argue with shallow minds, she simply exits the room. Because she's not here to convince, she's here to exist fully. And in a world that profits off your insecurity, a woman who knows her worth is dangerous. She's not loud, she's not aggressive, she's just centered. And that kind of calm is terrifying to those built on chaos. She doesn't blame, she doesn't beg, she doesn't play the role of the damsel. And that threatens the world's favorite storyline. A woman is nothing without a man. She's not anti-love, she's just pro-self. And in choosing herself, she destroys centuries of conditioning. They try to label her arrogant, hard, emotionless. But the truth? She's free. And freedom has always scared those who've never tasted it. She doesn't post for validation. She doesn't dress to be desired. She doesn't shrink to be safe. Her power isn't about dominance. It's about ownership. She owns her scars. She owns her story. She owns her light without asking anyone for permission to shine. That kind of self-possession, it disturbs every system built to keep women small, because she's not in competition, she's in conscious creation. While others play games to win love, she rewrites the rules. She knows that real power isn't about climbing over others, it's about lifting yourself. She cheers for women who rise. She respects men who heal. She has nothing to prove. And that's what makes her unstoppable. Because when a woman has nothing to prove, no one can use her wounds against her. She becomes untouchable. Not because she's cold, but because she's complete. She's not trying to start a war. But when a woman becomes whole in a world built on her brokenness, her existence becomes the war. She doesn't need to raise flags. Her presence is the rebellion. She's not against anyone. She's just finally for herself, and that alone is a psychological earthquake. So if she makes the room uncomfortable, it's because her energy just exposed the cracks in the walls. She is not their enemy. She is their awakening. Chapter 5. She's done with emotional crumbs. There was a time she begged for love, not with her words but with her silence, by accepting the bare minimum, by pretending she was okay with being ignored, forgotten, or treated like a second option. She didn't want much, just someone who saw her. But even that was too much for some, so she kept shrinking. Until one day she realized, if you have to beg to be loved, you were never loved at all. She gave her heart unfiltered, raw, whole. She didn't play games. She showed up fully, even when the other person was only half present. And what did she get in return? Silence, confusion, emotional starvation dressed up as busy schedules, and that's just how I am. She watered dying gardens until her own soul wilted. And still, they asked for more. She used to think love meant sacrifice. But real love doesn't drain, it nourishes. Real love doesn't confuse, it clarifies. She was feeding others while starving herself emotionally, smiling through pain just to keep the peace. And every time she asked for what she needed, she was told she was too much. Now she knows she wasn't asking for too much. She was just asking the wrong people. She doesn't hate who she was. She honors her. That woman who stayed too long, who gave too deeply, who loved too hard, she was doing her best with an open heart. But she's not that woman anymore. Now she knows the difference between love and trauma bonding, between attention and devotion, between being seen and being truly valued. She's not angry. She's just awake. She used to accept crumbs because she believed it was better than starving. Now, she'd rather dine alone in peace than feast with someone who brings confusion to the table. Love isn't meant to feel like a transaction. It's not supposed to come with guilt, guessing games, or ghosting. If love comes in pieces, she'll leave the table, because she's not hungry for attention. She's hungry for connection. She knows her love is rare, the kind that listens deeply, holds gently, forgives freely, and stands firmly. She's not here to play small to make someone feel big. Her love doesn't come in installments. It's all or nothing. And if someone can't match her energy, she won't lower hers. She's not here to babysit egos or beg for text messages. She's here for soul-level intimacy, and she'll wait for it no matter how long it takes. She doesn't hate men. She just won't tolerate boys in disguise. She doesn't fear love. She fears settling. She doesn't walk away to punish anyone. She walks away to protect her healing, because she knows peace is more valuable than potential. Silence is better than empty words, and walking alone is better than walking with someone who makes her feel alone while beside them. Chapter 6. Not looking, aligning. She's not swiping, she's not chasing. She's not auditioning for love in a world addicted to performances. She's not looking for a partner. She's becoming her own. Because she knows now, the more you force love, the more you attract fear. And the more you align with truth, the more love finds you effortlessly. She doesn't chase, she attracts, by healing what once made her settle. People run into arms just to avoid their own mirror. She ran into herself, into the childhood memories that still echoed, into the voices that told her she wasn't enough, into the silence where no one came to save her. She met the version of herself crying at 2 a.m. and said, "I've got you now." Because no relationship can fix what you won't face, and she was brave enough to face it all, alone. She saw the patterns, the silent rage, the emotional neglect, the way women before her were taught to give everything and still be told they were too much. She didn't just feel the pain, she ended it. Not for revenge, but for redemption. She became the woman her bloodline never had. And now her glow isn't surface deep, it's ancestral, it's revolutionary. It's the light that breaks cycles. There was a time she waited for a text, a call, a breadcrumb of attention to prove she mattered. Now she writes her worth in silence. She doesn't need a knight. She built her own armor. And if love comes now, it won't be her escape. It'll be her reflection. Because she no longer wants someone to fill her. She wants someone who mirrors her fullness. Most people want fast love. She wants true love, the kind that grows slow, built on presence, depth, and spiritual recognition. She doesn't mind waiting, because when you've met your own soul, you don't fear loneliness. You fear settling. She's not impressed by energy that fades after the honeymoon phase. She wants the kind that deepens, with time, truth, and tenderness. People ask how she radiates peace. The answer? She earned it. Through nights of questioning her worth, through years of self-abandonment, through healing without anyone clapping for her. Her glow isn't makeup. It's made of tears she turned into wisdom, wounds she turned into boundaries, and pain she turned into purpose. She didn't buy this energy, she became it. She's not single, she's sacred. She's not alone, she's aligned. Her life is full of peace, of purpose, of power. And if someone wants to enter her world, they better bring more than promises. They better come healed, come whole, come ready. Because she's not looking for love to complete her. She's looking for a love that won't interrupt her alignment. Chapter 7. The mystery of her stillness. Her stillness isn't silence, it's power contained. She doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to announce herself to be felt. When she enters a room, she doesn't speak, yet everyone notices. Why? Because her energy isn't scattered, it's focused. And focused energy is dangerous. Most people confuse noise with strength, but she mastered the art of quiet confidence. Still waters run deep, and she's the ocean they never saw coming. They wonder why she's not loud like others, why she doesn't chase the spotlight, why she can sit alone without reaching for her phone or someone's attention. Because her silence? It's sacred. It's not loneliness. It's sovereignty. Every moment in stillness, she reconnects with herself, her thoughts, her emotions, her soul. And in a world that glorifies distraction, a woman who is whole in her own presence becomes terrifying to those who aren't. She doesn't flirt for validation. She doesn't post pictures to be desired. She doesn't drop hints to be chased because she doesn't operate from lack. She operates from abundance. She doesn't crave to be liked. She values being understood. And that shift in energy, it creates mystery. Because when someone doesn't beg for attention, they naturally become magnetic. She doesn't seduce with skin. She seduces with stillness. People don't know what to make of her. She's soft but not weak, kind but not naive. She listens more than she speaks. But when she speaks, you feel it. That's the mystery. She's not unreadable because she's fake. She's unreadable because she's deep. And depth confuses those who only know how to swim in shallow waters. You can't manipulate a woman who knows herself. You can't lie to someone who's done shadow work. You can't control someone who no longer fears solitude. In a room full of people trying to be seen, she becomes the most visible by being the most authentic. Her silence makes liars uncomfortable. Her presence reveals insecurity. Her stillness triggers those who need chaos to feel alive. Because she doesn't play by society's script. She doesn't need drama to feel desired. She's not addicted to attention. She's grounded. And grounded women are a threat to every system that feeds on instability. Some mistake her silence for disinterest. But real ones know, and her silence is a filter. Not everyone gets access. Not everyone is worthy of her energy. She doesn't ghost people, she guards herself. And when you've spent years healing, you don't let just anyone in. Because she's no longer afraid of being alone, she's afraid of giving her peace to someone who hasn't earned it. That's not coldness, that's wisdom. They don't know what to do with her. They can't bait her into drama, they can't lure her into emotional chaos. She's not responsive, she's intentional. Because stillness is strategy. She doesn't react, she observes. And when you observe instead of react, you become unpredictable, uncontrollable, unstoppable. Her stillness is not weakness, it's power under control. And that's why she scares them, because you can't manipulate what you can't disturb. Chapter 8. She chose this path not by default but by design. They called her too much, too intense, too independent, too unreasonable. But what they really meant was, she's no longer easy to manipulate. Because the moment a woman starts honoring her truth over her conditioning, she becomes dangerous. She no longer fits in their small boxes. And that kind of woman? She isn't too much. She's finally enough for herself. And that's what they can't handle. She used to soften her opinions, dim her intelligence, laugh politely when she wanted to speak truth. But no more. She doesn't dilute her spirit just to be digestible. She doesn't edit herself to avoid rejection. Because every time she hid her full self, a piece of her died quietly inside. Now she knows if someone can't handle her depth, they were never meant to swim in her waters. Her path wasn't passive. She didn't land in solitude by luck. She walked into it with eyes wide open. She chose stillness over begging, healing over hiding, and alignment over attachment. Most fear this path because it's lonely. But she discovered, being alone isn't scary. Being disconnected from yourself is. So she rebuilt herself in silence and came back whole. Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And she did. She looked at her shadows and didn't run. She faced the parts of herself that others labeled too emotional or too complicated and loved them anyway. Now her self-worth isn't borrowed, it's self-made. She doesn't need fixing, she needs space to keep rising. And the ones who can't handle that, she lets them go, gently but completely. She used to wait, for messages, for apologies, for someone to finally see her. Now, she walks away from anything that doesn't align, because choosing yourself is the ultimate power move. She doesn't beg to be loved anymore. She evaluates, she observes, and if your presence disrupts her peace, she'll choose her solitude over your chaos, every time. She doesn't live by default anymore. She doesn't follow scripts written by a society that told her a woman's worth comes from who she's with. She writes her own rules. Her mornings are rituals. Her silence is sacred. Her peace is earned. And her joy, unapologetic. She isn't responding to life, she's designing it, with full intention, full awareness, and full power. They used to have the power, the ones she waited on, the ones she used to overthink for, but now she's not waiting, she's watching, not for someone to love her, but for someone already loving themselves enough to meet her where she is. She doesn't fight for a seat at tables where her name was never respected. She builds her own table, and the silence that follows her exit. That's the sound of power shifting. Chapter 9. She's a new archetype. She's not the damsel in distress. She's not waiting for rescue. She's not the girl who clings to red flags and calls it romance. She's not the healer who bleeds herself dry for broken men. She is none of the stereotypes that once defined womanhood. Because she didn't come here to play a role, she came to redefine the script. She is a sovereign soul, whole, awake, and unapologetically alive. She used to be the empath who absorbed everything, who fixed, forgave, and forgot, even when it broke her. Now, she's emotionally self-aware, not self-sacrificing. She sets boundaries that used to terrify her. She chooses peace over people-pleasing. She doesn't let someone's lack of love turn into her lack of self-worth. She knows the difference now between being nurturing and being used. Carl Jung once said the journey is inward, and she took it seriously. She stopped searching in men, careers, distractions. She turned her gaze inward, faced the rawness, the shadows, the old beliefs that told her she had to earn love to deserve it. She didn't just heal, she evolved, and now her soul radiates a calm power that can't be faked, because it came from facing her own fire. She doesn't inspire everyone. Some people are intimidated by her. Why? Because she reflects exactly what they've avoided. She's not soft enough to manipulate, not broken enough to be controlled, not desperate enough to tolerate games. She's a mirror, and when you look at her, you either rise or run, because she doesn't expose your flaws. She reveals your potential, and that's what scares people. Don't talk about the future. Be here now. She's done with potential. She wants alignment. She wants presence, the kind you feel in the eyes, in the silence, in the energy. She doesn't fall for words anymore. She reads energy. And if your energy feels like chaos wrapped in charm, she'll walk away, quietly, completely, and without regret. They'll say she's difficult, cold, picky. But the truth is, she just sees too clearly now. She's not impressed by surface-level connection, not moved by love bombs. She's learned how to sit with herself, and now she refuses to sit with someone who makes her feel more alone than her solitude ever did. It's not that she's hard to love, it's that she won't pretend it's love when it's not. She's not for everyone. She was never meant to be. Her presence will shake you, her standards will confront you, her peace will challenge your chaos. She's not asking to be accepted, she's just existing in her truth. And that alone is a revolution. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because maybe discomfort is the first step to your own awakening. And her existence is proof that a new archetype has been born, one that answers to no one but herself. Chapter 10. She became the love she never received. She stopped searching and started becoming. There was a time she begged for love in whispers, in unread messages, in relationships that drained more than they gave. But begging made her feel smaller. So she stopped asking for love and started becoming it. Now she pours into herself. She writes her name in soft affirmations and fierce decisions. She wakes up with peace, not panic, because she no longer waits to be chosen. She became the one she was always waiting for. Fairy tales lied. No prince arrived, no perfect partner healed the brokenness inside. She cried, then she rose. She became her own savior, her own safe space, her own soulmate. Because she realized the hero of her story wasn't someone else. It was the version of her that chose healing over hurting, clarity over chaos, and depth over distraction. And that version saved her life. They hurt her, but she didn't become bitter, she became better. She studied every heartbreak like sacred scripture, not to stay in pain, but to understand why she allowed it. She turned betrayal into boundaries, abandonment into awareness, loneliness into leadership. Now her scars don't make her weak, they make her wise. She doesn't bleed anymore. She glows from the places that once shattered her. She used to wait for texts to feel important, used to dress for attention, used to smile to be liked. Now, she smiles because she's at peace. She walks into rooms without shrinking. She no longer lives in the shadows of other people's opinions, because her worth isn't measured by who approves of her. It's measured by how deeply she approves of herself. And that kind of self-respect is louder than applause. She used to think love meant adrenaline, fights, fixing, tension, but now she knows love should feel like a soft exhale. She doesn't romanticize chaos anymore. She's done being the therapist in a situationship. She doesn't want potential. She wants presence. Her peace is non-negotiable, and if someone brings more storms than sunshine, they won't get close, because calm is her new standard. Don't confuse her strength for coldness. She's not closed off, she's whole. She's emotionally literate, spiritually centered, and mentally uncluttered. She can cry and still hold her ground. She can love and still walk away. She doesn't need to be needed. She desires to be met, fully, equally, respectfully. She's not trying to be intimidating, She's just finally done shrinking. She's not here to complete you. She's not here to fix you. She's not here to rescue you. She is love in human form, but only if you know how to receive it. She's not impressed by potential anymore. She's aligned with energy. And if your presence feels like a burden instead of a blessing, she'll disappear without noise, because her love is not a lifeline. It's a vibration, and you either rise to meet it, or you miss it. Chapter 11. She's not hard to love. She's hard to manipulate. They say she's too intense, too guarded. Hard to love. But that's what people say when you stop accepting crumbs, when you stop laughing at disrespect, when you stop over-explaining your worth. She's not hard to love. She just makes it impossible to fake it. You can't manipulate someone who sees through masks. She doesn't hate love. She just refuses to suffer in its name again. Once upon a time, she got excited over good morning texts. Now, she waits for consistency. She doesn't melt at compliments. She watches actions. Because attention is cheap, presence is rare. She doesn't chase mixed signals. She knows love isn't supposed to feel like decoding a puzzle. If she has to guess, she'd rather walk away with dignity intact. She used to think jealousy meant passion. She used to think silence meant he's thinking. She used to shrink herself to avoid conflict. Now, she sees the game. If your love needs control to survive, it's not love. It's ego. She's not interested in obedience. She's interested in truth. And if you need her to shrink so you can feel tall, you'll watch her leave. Not because she's heartless, but because she finally has a spine. She doesn't argue anymore. She doesn't send paragraphs. She doesn't perform emotional gymnastics to be understood. Because her standards are not up for debate. She knows what peace costs, and she's not going bankrupt again. Either you come correct, or don't come at all. She's not interested in potential. She's only investing in proof. And that mindset scares people who thought they could finesse her. Yes, she's soft. Yes, she loves deeply, but not for everyone. Her softness is earned and not assumed. She doesn't throw her heart into pits anymore. She's learned that some people don't want love, they want control. She guards her light now, not because she's bitter, but because she knows she's divine. And sacred energy doesn't beg to be kept. It blesses and then disappears. She's done with performative love, with lovers who love her only in private, with people who like her silence more than her voice. She doesn't play small just to fit someone's comfort zone. She doesn't bend into versions of herself that feel fake. She wants love that feels like truth, not stage plays, not followers and filters, but deep eye contact, ritual silence, and respect that doesn't expire. She's not complicated. She's just complete. If her truth offends you, you're not her audience. If her depth scares you, go swim elsewhere. Because she's not shrinking for comfort anymore. She's not molding for acceptance anymore. She's not explaining why her boundaries are so bold. She's not too much. She's just finally everything she was meant to be. And if that feels heavy, go find lightness. Because she's done being digestible. Chapter 11. She's not hard to love. She's hard to manipulate. They don't hate her, they hate her clarity. They say she's too difficult. But what they really mean is, she sees through me, and I can't hide. She's not hard to love. She's hard to fool, hard to lie to, hard to gaslight. Because she's no longer living in confusion, she sees patterns, feels energy, reads silence like scripture. You can't manipulate a woman who has done the work. She's not cold, she's clear. She doesn't fall for sweet talk anymore. She watches timing, vibes, follow through. She's not impressed by bare minimum effort wrapped in fake promises. Her standards aren't too high. They're finally accurate. She's done decoding mixed signals. She doesn't want chaos with chemistry. She wants clarity with connection. Because anything less than real, she's allergic to it now. She doesn't overextend anymore. She doesn't beg for conversations. She doesn't explain why she deserves loyalty. Because her energy is sacred. If your presence feels heavy, if your love feels transactional, if your words feel empty, she will disappear without notice. Not to hurt you, but to heal herself, because she learned protecting her peace is her job, not yours. She's done with fantasy, done with potential, done with the high of attraction that ends in emotional starvation. She's not asking to be worshipped. She's asking to be understood. And if that's too much, you were never enough. She doesn't want promises. She wants presence. She doesn't want games. She wants grounding, because her love is rooted, and she refuses to bloom in dead soil again. You won't see her arguing anymore. She won't clap back, won't beg, won't break her soul to fix yours. If you test her peace, she'll test your absence. She's not trying to win battles. She's building a life. You either come in peace or you don't come at all. And if you fumble her, you'll feel it. Not in drama, but in silence so loud it echoes. The version of her who accepted emotional crumbs, she's gone. Buried with the text messages she reread, with the tears no one saw, with the dignity she sacrificed. Now she's reborn, soft but unbreakable, loving but not lost, wise but still wild. And anyone trying to reach the old her will be met by someone they never saw coming, someone who finally chose herself. She doesn't have to say much. Her energy speaks. Her boundaries speak louder. She's not for the faint-hearted, not for the selfish, not for the unhealed who want to use her light to hide their darkness. If her presence feels like pressure, that's your shadow being confronted. She's not intimidating. She's just not manipulatable anymore. And if that scares you, she's not the problem. Your reflection is. Chapter 12. She's not waiting for a love story. She's writing her legacy. Love isn't her final destination. She is. She used to think love was the reward, the prize, the purpose. Now, she knows she is the destination. Not someone's fantasy, not someone's project. She is the home she kept trying to find in others. She's not waiting to be saved. She's building something sacred. And if love joins the journey, beautiful. But if it doesn't, her legacy won't pause for it. She doesn't write poetry about heartbreak anymore. She writes plans, visions, books, brands. She's not crying on the bathroom floor over someone who couldn't meet her where she was. She's building empires from the pain they left behind. Because one day, someone will ask how she did it, and she'll smile and say, "I bled in silence," then turned it into gold. She's not living for someday. She's living fully now. No more waiting for after I find the one. No more shrinking in the meantime. She dresses for herself, travels for herself, grows for herself. She stopped postponing joy. She realized the biggest commitment she'll ever make is to her own becoming. And every day she shows up for that promise. The universe opens doors no love story ever could. This isn't about fairy tales. This is about feminine rebirth. She buried old versions of herself, the girl who begged, the girl who broke, the girl who settled. And from those ashes, she rose. Not as someone's ideal, not as someone's good enough, but as a woman rewritten by fire, a woman who no longer folds, she forges. She inspires because she rebuilt herself without an audience. No one saw her healing. No one clapped when she said no. No one applauded her boundaries, but she kept going. Through loneliness, through judgment, through nights when even self-love felt like a lie. And now that she shines, they say she's lucky. No, she's legendary, because she stayed true when it was hardest. She no longer wants to be loved. She wants to be remembered. She doesn't want to be someone's best girl. She wants to be her own bold legacy. She wants her name to echo in rooms she hasn't entered. She wants to be felt in every woman she inspires to rise. She doesn't crave a wedding. She craves impact. She doesn't dream of happily ever after. She dreams of powerfully now. And that dream isn't waiting for permission. She's not just a woman, she's a wake-up call. She walks like a storm wearing stillness. She speaks like a scripture disguised as a soul. And when she enters a room, you don't just notice her. You feel her. Because she's not here to be liked. She's here to remind you of what's possible when a woman stops begging to be loved and starts loving herself so loudly. The world has no choice but to listen. Chapter 13. She's not cold. She's healed beyond manipulation. They call her cold because she no longer breaks for chaos. She doesn't react like she used to. No long texts, no late-night breakdowns, no begging to be seen. Now, she observes, she notices. And when the energy doesn't align, she exits, not with rage, with grace. She's not cold, she's calibrated. She's not heartless, she's healed. And people who can't manipulate her mislabel her. She doesn't cut off people. She just stops over-explaining. She doesn't block with anger. She disappears with clarity. You'll notice her absence in places where you once took her for granted. She doesn't ghost out of immaturity. She glides out of self-respect. She no longer argues to be heard, no longer pleads to be understood, because healing taught her, if you have to explain basic respect, you're already in the wrong room. Her silence isn't a strategy. It's a sanctuary. It's where she recharges, where she rebuilds, where she remembers who the hell she is. She's not quiet because she has nothing to say. She's quiet because not everyone deserves her truth. She's not hard to figure out. She's just not giving clues to people who never cared to understand the full story. Her energy isn't up for grabs. Her time isn't casually consumed. Her body isn't a playground for those who can't handle her mind. She no longer confuses chemistry with compatibility. She no longer entertains what exhausts her. She's not lonely. She's discerning. And her selectiveness? It's not ego, it's evolution. She knows her value now, and she protects it like gold. She doesn't fall for sorry. She watches for change. Apologies don't impress her anymore. She listens with her eyes now. She reads behavior. She follows patterns. Because she's been in love with potential before, and it almost destroyed her. So now, you don't get access with words, you get access with integrity. She doesn't seek perfection, she seeks truth. And if truth isn't present, neither is she. She's still kind, still giving, still powerful in the way she holds space, but now, her compassion comes with conditions. She no longer throws lifelines to people who pulled her underwater. She no longer bleeds empathy for those who weaponized her softness. Her love isn't lost, it's just no longer self-destructive. She didn't harden. She evolved with armor made of awareness. She's not afraid to be the one that got away. She doesn't fear being misunderstood. She doesn't fear being alone. She doesn't fear walking away from almosts, maybes, or halfway love. Because she knows her worth now. If her presence felt heavy, it's because it held value. If her absence feels louder, it's because she was never background noise. And if losing her wakes you up, it's already too late. She's not coming back. She's not angry. She's healed. And healing always leaves quietly. Before you scroll away, pause. Because if even one line in this journey felt like your story, then it's not just a script. It's your awakening. You are not too much. You are exactly enough for the life that's finally waiting for you to rise. You are not broken. You are becoming. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment. I'm not waiting to be chosen. I choose myself. Let the world know that your healing is not quiet anymore. Tag a woman who forgot how powerful she is. Let this remind her that silence can be strength, softness can be sacred, and choosing yourself is not selfish. It's spiritual rebellion. Share this video with one soul who's dimming her light to be loved. Let her know real love will never ask her to shrink. And if this message lit a fire inside you, subscribe now, because this is not the end of your story. This is the start of your sovereignty.